Luther's Small Catechism with Explanation, the Black and Maroon edition, copyright 2017, from Concordia Publishing House. Seventh Commandment, you shall not steal. What does this mean? We should fear and love God, so that we do not take our neighbor's money or possessions, or get them in any dishonest way, but help him to improve and protect his possessions and income.
Question 82, C through D of the Seventh Commandment. How should we use our earthly goods? We are to be good stewards of God's created gifts so that, C, the church has the resources it needs for the proclamation of the gospel. 242, 1 Corinthians 9:14. In the same way, the Lord commanded that those who proclaim the gospel should get their living by the gospel. 243, Galatians 6:6. Let the one who is taught the word share all good things with the one who teaches. D, all creation prospers under our care for the land, water, and air. 244, Genesis 2:15. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it. 245, Deuteronomy 22:6. If you come across a bird's nest in any tree or on the ground, with young ones or eggs, and the mother sitting on the young or on the eggs, you shall not take the mother with the young. Read Leviticus 25:3-5. For 6 years you shall sow your field, and for 6 years you shall prune your vineyard, and gather in its fruits. But in the 7th year there shall be a Sabbath, a solemn rest for the land, a Sabbath to the Lord. You shall not sow your field or prune your vineyard. You shall not reap what grows of itself in your harvest, or gather the grapes of your undressed vine. It shall be a year of solemn rest for the land. Note, in Christian freedom, a wise person once determined early in life to live on 80% of his income while saving 10%, giving 10% to the church and charity. At the end of life, this person was both generous and wealthy. Being a good steward of things that God has given us. This is important to note. There's a few things with this, for your body, all the things that we've talked about already in the Seventh Commandment with this, but also two other things that this mentions is how we take care of the land, air, and water, and the world that God has given us. Now, granted, we're not supposed to be worshiping these things. I think sometimes people go overboard and say the land is more important than people, or the air and the water are more important than children, or something like that. But it does mean that we are to be good stewards of this. And the best stewards I know are generational farmers. They are always about, how do I take care of my family? How do I take care of the land? And that's a wonderful thing. We can learn from them. Recycling is a good way to help out. There's some other ways that you can do. Once again, this is not a religion, but you are trying to be a good steward of all things. Picking up after yourself, taking care of trash, depositing things where they're supposed to be going. All these things, very good. The next is talking about how we give to our church. This is a big thing in our day and age, especially among American Christianity. We have turned all things into a free will offering, which is, it's my money and I dole it out and invest it however I want. And that's not really true. It's God's money and you're a steward of it. He gave you good gifts. And one of the places you're supposed to be a steward of it is to your local congregation. And they get a proportional giving. In the Old Testament was a tithe. In the New Testament, it's not just 10%, although that's a benchmark. It could be less than 10%. It could be more than 10% based on your proportion of your income, how much you make and how much you live on. This goes directly to your church for the needs and for the things, what we would consider budget. Then on top of that is free will offering. On top of that is, I want to give to a Honduras mission trip, or I want to give to feed the poor, or I want to give to my food pantry. Those are wonderful things. But don't get them confused. Many Christians go, well, I'm going to give all of my money that I give to church to charity to the person on the street. Like, no, that's a free will offering, not your tithe or proportional giving that you're supposed to be giving to your church. You're supposed to be doing both if you can. And to balance them, 10%. So oftentimes Christians don't even get close to 10% anymore, even though they could. Many times people come in and go, I can't give 10% because I have this bigger boat, or I have this car, or I have to do all these fancy things. I'm like, yeah, you can give more. But many people in Christianity, they've run statistics, give only like 2% or less to their congregation. On the flip side of that is our cost of living is increasing. And since it's proportional giving, not a tithe of a tax, that we can have a sliding scale with that. So if you're making way under the poverty line, or if you're making not enough to live where you're at, you can give less to church as a proportion for it because you need more to live. It doesn't mean that you give it out completely, but there is some wisdom with this. And I've been doing a study at our own church all throughout the year of what it means to be a good steward, and some simplified stewardship tricks and tips that you could have of being a better steward in our days in life. Check those out.
The Lord bless your day as well as your week.